This is every fight the UFC needs to make at Bantamweight. So first off, we've got champion Merab Dvalishvili versus number 4 Cory Sandhagen. This one's obvious. Cory's really the only one that's deserving of a title shot right now at Merab, and we know Pantoja doesn't want to go up to 135 and fight Merab. He says he's still got stuff to handle at 125 with Joshua Van, but Cory's coming off a finish over Deiveson Figueiredo, and he's basically the only person that Merab hasn't ran through and beat yet. It should be a good fight. I think he's got decent enough grappling to get up after Merab takes him down a couple of times, which is obviously inevitable. I definitely lean towards Merab winning that one, obviously, but let's hurry up and move on, because that one's kind of obvious. Next up, we've got number 1 Sean O'Malley versus number 6 Deiveson Figueiredo. I'm matching up O'Malley in a winnable fight for him because that's what I think the UFC is going to do. I don't think they're just going to feed him to Umar. I think he should fight Deiveson Figueiredo next. You know, both of them are coming off of losses where they both got finished, but whoever wins this one would immediately get back on track and, you know, possibly be looking for a title eliminator, or at least a fight that could lead to a title eliminator after that. I think Sean would be a bit faster than Figgy on the feet, even though Figgy obviously was the flyweight champion. Just because Sean's 30 years old and Figgy's going to be 38 in December, this one would be a fun one on the feet. And, you know, Figgy has good enough grappling and a great guillotine to still give Sean that grappling test and make him think about it with how he got submitted against Merab last time, all while being a winnable fight for both of them. I think both of them would accept this fight, and the UFC would probably make this one too, unless they've got other plans and, you know, don't want to keep investing into Sean and they just end up feeding him to Umar, which I could see that happening as well. But this fight could easily be a co-main event of a pay-per-view or the main event of a fight night. I don't really think that they'll be putting O'Malley on a fight night anytime soon, but you never know. I'd have said the same thing about Kamaru Usman a few years ago, and he just made evented a fight night with Buckley, so really, you just never know. After that, we've got number 3 Petr Yan versus number 2 Umar Nurmagomedov. Even though Petr Yan is scheduled to fight Marcus McGhee on July 28th, we know that Umar just got back to training a month ago after breaking his hand. They should be on a similar timeline to fight at the end of the year, assuming that Yan beats Marcus McGhee this month in Abu Dhabi. But if McGhee beats him, then that would just throw a wrench and just fuck up all of this for sure. I think the striking that would go on in this fight would be pretty sick. You know, Umar's got solid grappling too, and I think he'd probably try to take down Yan at least once. And if he's successful, then he'd probably go back to it. But this is a matchup in the top 5 that we haven't seen yet, and it would be a fire co-main event or a feature fight of a pay-per-view. I'm kind of surprised that the UFC hasn't really made this fight in the past. You know, they've definitely got to make it after Yan's fight with McGhee go, because that's a guaranteed banger. I know you guys are wondering what the hell we're going to do with Patchy Mix next, and I'll tell you the plan I've got for him. It was originally going to be the winner of Cody Garbrandt versus Raoni Barcelos at UFC Atlanta, so obviously it's Raoni Barcelos, but now that I think about it, Cody Garbrandt would be a cool matchup, even though he'd probably just get guillotined by Patchy, but I'd love to see him KO the stiff as a board Patchy Mix standing up all tall, and we all want to see Garbrandt do well, so I could see that one being a decent matchup. But with Barcelos, we could really test Patchy Mix's grappling and see if it's UFC level like he seems to believe it is, because we really didn't get to see much of it against Bautista. His best move is his guillotine, and I think Barcelos could avoid it for sure and test his grappling in other areas. I think Barcelos is a better wrestler too, so let's just test Patchy Mix again and see if he can even hang with guys who are in the top 30. And next up, we've got number 5 Song Yadong versus Mario Bautista. Bautista's going to be looking for a top 10 fight, maybe even a top 5 fight, considering he's on an 8-fight win streak in the Bantamweight division right now with a great performance over Patchy Mix. Even though he's everybody's favorite fighter to hate on, obviously for what he did to Jose Aldo, he still does deserve a step up in the rankings for his next fight, and I think Song Yadong would probably be a pretty good matchup for him. Song is technically coming off a win with that weird eye poke situation with Henry Cejudo where he wanted out of the fight, and Jason Herzog somehow found a way to still get the judge's decision in, so I will count it as a win because he was definitely beating up Henry, but before that he lost to Petr Yan, so I don't think he's looking at a title eliminator in his next fight. Match him up with Mario Bautista, and whoever gets that win can be looking toward the title elimination fight. Number 7, Chito Vera versus number 11, Aiemann Zahabi. Zahabi's coming off a kind of a win against Jose Aldo, where the Canadian judges helped him out a bit. He's on a 6-fight win streak as well, so he should be looking up in the rankings. But Chito Vera's coming off a loss against Figgy, and before that he lost to O'Malley in the title shot, so he's probably looking down in the rankings for his next fight. He was scheduled to fight Bautista a while ago, but he got injured, and I don't think that the UFC is going to specifically be looking to remake that fight. I think this is a winnable fight for both of them. I'd lean towards Chito because of his durability and the damage he can put out, and we've seen Zahabi get rocked and knocked out before, and Chito knows that he needs this win, otherwise he'll just keep slipping down further and further down in the rankings, especially if he lost to Zahabi. Now, I was going to do number 8 Rob Font versus number 10 Henry Cejudo, but a few hours ago, Rob Font got matched up with Raul Rosas Jr. at UFC Noche in September. I like that fight a lot. I think Hunter and Sean Shelby absolutely nailed the matchmaking with this one. It's kind of the perfect fight for Raul Rosas. We get a chance to see if he can hang with the boxing and striking of Rob Font, who we know is high caliber in that area. And we get to see if he can implement his grappling, which is Rosas's best thing about his game. We saw his striking improve in his last fight, but this is obviously a way big step up compared to Vince Morales. I'm not going to give you some crazy hot take and say that Font is going to ever become a champion, but if he wins this one, I'd be surprised if he got someone outside the rankings again. I'm pretty sure he could wrestle his way to victory against Font, but for those few minutes, if he's not going to be able to get him down, he could be in trouble on the feet. We've seen Font dominated and held down in the grappling against Sandhagen. I think Rosas could do something similar, but I could also see Font piecing him up big time. We know Rosas wants to get to the title, and it seems like the UFC has said, right now is his time to make the run for it, and they give him one of the best, if not the best possible matchup they could with the highest ranking. Somebody who's older and kind of on their way out and has been grapple fucked before. The UFC is getting behind Raul Rosas even more. I think both Font and Rosas want to get to a title, and this would get the winner on track for that for sure, even though Font's older, and I think maybe he could make one more run, I guess, if he finished Rosas. It's a massive step up for Rosas. Let's see him test his striking against Font, even though he should just wrestle fuck him and go for subs. Next up, we've got number 10, Henry Cejudo versus Chris Gutierrez. Cejudo hasn't won a fight since 2020 when he knocked out Dominic Cruz on Fight Island, so I'm kind of trying to give him a winnable fight here against Gutierrez, who's struggled with grappling and, getting held against the cage, but it's a totally winnable fight for Gutierrez. If he destroys Henry's calf like he does to all of his opponents, we know that he's got some of the best leg kicks and calf kicks in the game, and then he boxes the brakes off Henry trying to do his crazy, stupid, jumpy karate style that just doesn't work the best for a 38-year-old Olympic gold medalist wrestler. This would really test if Cejudo still got it against a striker in the top 30 coming off back-to-back wins, while seeing if Gutierrez is ever going to make a run at the rankings or title at the same time and, kind of fix his wrestling issue. Cejudo's lost 3 in a row, and if he were to lose this one against Chris, I think it'd probably be time for him to hang up the gloves and, stop damaging his legacy. But if he won this one, you just know he's going to try and make a run at the title again, and he's going to keep calling for it on his podcast with Usman, or maybe he'll just retire for the 7th time. You never know with Henry. Next up is number 12, Vinicius Oliveira on a 4-fight win streak coming off a victory over Kyler Phillips last weekend. And as you can see, he moved up from number 15 in the rankings. I don't think he looked that great leading with his chin out and his hands down the whole time, but he's definitely not an easy fight. I think somebody who's sharp like Umar or Sean O'Malley would sleep him pretty quickly. So, don't give him a huge fight like that next, obviously. But screw Patchy Mix versus Raoni Barcelos. Let's do Patchy Mix versus Vinicius Oliveira. I think Oliveira actually has a decent chance at hurting Patchy pretty badly, and it'd test Patchy Mix's reflexes and see if he can react to the telegraphed shots of Oliveira, while seeing if Patchy's really got what it takes at all to beat anybody near the top 15 or even in the top 15 of bantamweight. I'd probably lean towards Patchy Mix because of his grappling upside, but with his non-existent head movement and his kind of slow reactions, I could also see Oliveira messing him up, so screw it, dude. That's the matchup I want to see both of them in next. Now for the last one, I've got number 14, Montel Jackson versus Pedro Munhoz. Let's start to build up Montel Jackson's resume with some notable names. You can see he's on a 6-fight win streak, but he doesn't have the biggest names on his resume, so getting someone who's notable and known by people like Pedro Munhoz would be good, and it'd be a test for Montel because we know he's got nasty straight punches and he's gotten multiple KOs with his hands in the UFC, and Pedro Munhoz has never been knocked out before, and he's on his way out, considering he's about to be 39 and he's on a 3-fight losing streak. So either Montel Jackson can get a notable name on his record and maybe knock out a UFC vet like Munhoz, or Munhoz shuts down a prospect and makes one last run towards the rankings again. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'll respond to every comment, and thanks for watching. We're almost at 40 subs, boys. I'll see you guys in the next one.